Yo, what has happened? It's my first video on this channel. This channel is going to be mostly about firearms, guns, safety. Hopefully I'll be able to spread some education and knowledge on it. This is something I have a passion for. Really like the mechanics behind it, so that's why I'm doing it. And I figured everybody else is doing it, making money out of it. Why not, right? So before I get into anything else, kind of want to just start this first video off by talking about a little bit of safety, right? 4 rules to always remember are: number 1, treat every firearm as if it's loaded. What does that mean? It means exactly that. Treat it as if it's loaded. Even if you know there's nothing in it, treat it like it is. Okay? Which kind of goes into the second thing. Never point your gun at anything you're not willing to destroy. So with that being said, same thing as the first one. Always treat it as it's loaded. Never point it at anything you're not willing to destroy, even if it is unloaded. Okay? Number 3, keep your finger off the trigger until you're ready to fire. Yeah, that's kind of self-explanatory. Don't put your finger on that trigger until you're ready to fire. Be sure of your target and what's behind it. Okay? So that kind of has a little bit of science behind it, especially when it's pertaining to ballistics. You know, some rounds can go through certain objects, others lodge into it, but you should always expect something to go through anything. So even past the wall. So always be aware of what you're pointing at and what's behind it, okay? Or what's on the other side, what's through it, and even more importantly, what's in front of it too, okay? So yeah, a little bit of gun safety tips. Now, on the subject of the firearm, I wanted to talk about my Springfield XDM 3.8 compact, okay? While we're talking about gun safety, okay? Everything's unloaded, nothing in there, okay? Same thing here, nothing in there. Shake about, nothing comes out, okay? Gun safety. This is my XDM though. It's my first firearm. It's a beauty, really. I mean, I'm not gonna get into all the specifics and stats about it because I don't know that much about it. I'll just kind of talk about the firearm itself and my experience with it. For a first-time gun and a first-time shooter, I think this is great, honestly. If I'm being honest, I lived in a state before where I wasn't allowed to purchase a firearm. I lived in New York City, and I recently moved down to Georgia, and I've now been practicing my Second Amendment rights. And yeah, it's been a great firearm. What I do like about it is it's got a few safety measures. 1, the grip safety. The trigger will not go off, or the gun will not go off, unless this is depressed, right? And even if this is pressed, on the trigger, for example, if that middle button right there is not pressed, like that, the gun will not go off either. So I'm putting on the side of it right now, right? So that's one thing. It also has a loaded chamber indicator right there, and it's got the pin on the back that kind of indicates whether or not the firearm is cocked back. Okay. The trigger is pretty smooth. I like it. I've shot a few different firearms where the trigger is really hard or gritty. And when I mean gritty, when I say gritty, I mean gritty. Like you feel like your trigger has sand in it, or it just feels weird. It's not as smooth. You could tell. If anybody has shot a staccato, y'all know what I'm talking about. I love staccatos, by the way. But for a first firearm, this is pretty good. I love the safety features behind it. The one thing I don't like as much is that it's really bulky. It's about maybe half an inch in width. I could be wrong on those, but it is really bulky. And when I'm concealed carrying, it doesn't print, but you can definitely tell that it's got some heft to it. It's got some weight. Carrying the Tier 1 concealment holster. It's got the extra mag pouch right here. And this thing it weighs down. So I personally have to wear it with some like jeans or something with a belt. Something that's gonna help keep it up. I can't wear this with like sweats or shorts or something with a string on it. I can't use that. Excuse me. But for the most part, for the firearm, it is really good. For home defense, even better. You don't have to carry it. Doesn't have to be too heavy. But it does what it does. It does a job, which is keep everybody safe, right? Me, my family, my wife. It does what it's intended for. So, magazines sometimes come extended. This one, which is flush, I believe can hold up to 13, 14, one in the head. All right, I have an extended one in the room that has ammo in it, so I won't bring it out. That one holds, if I'm not mistaken, 19 and one in the head. Okay. But it's pretty good. That's my opinion on it. The Tier 1 concealment holsters, this thing is great. I'll be honest with you. You can customize it whichever way you want. You got that extra mag pouch. You can get it without the mag pouch. I'll show you a little bit what that looks like here. Right. Now again, I don't carry like this because I usually just use a belt. But for the video, I'm just gonna do that, right? No printing, barely any. It's really because I have sweats on right now, but it does the job, right? I usually like to wear a darker color shirt, so whatever does print, it's barely visible. Okay. Try not to show you my belly button. All right. Yeah, so quick and short, I have a few other firearms in the safe. Yes, I do keep my guns in the safe. We have a baby in the house, so I want to make sure everything's secure. Later on, I do want to get into getting a biometric safe. So it's a different conversation for a different video, but Vaultec is definitely what's up. I love their system. I have a smaller safe by them, but I want to get one of those bigger safes for my rifles and shotguns and stuff. So nonetheless, I got some other firearms that I want to talk about, but that's for a different video. And hopefully with this first video starts a trend, not a trend, but just starts a system where maybe I could talk about more firearms, hopefully get sponsorships and stuff like that. But yeah, I want to leave stats out of this because who the hell listens to stats? This thing is awesome though. I'd recommend it to anyone. That's it. Catch y'all later. One thing I did want to go over real quick that I didn't go over previously was how I used to live in New York City. Oh, now that's obviously, that's something different to talk about. New York City right now is going through its battles about being able to, practice their Second Amendment rights. and it's one of the bigger reasons why I wanted to live in a state where we can freely, you know, practice our rights. But especially with everything that's going on in this country. But before, I advise anyone, before you go and practice your rights, make sure you well enough know your rights. And if you're unsure, look it up. I mean, we have some of the most powerful tools in our hands, and not just a firearm, but we have the internet on our phones at our disposal. So look it up. Look up what your state rights are. What your state laws are. And if you're still not clear on what you can and cannot do, reach out to a lawyer. I admit that I've had some obstacles to hurdle over. I won't say, but I spoke to a lawyer before being able to practice my rights, and turns out I was good. Turns out I can lawfully and willingly purchase and own a firearm. So I made sure that I wanted to do what I wanted to do the right way, legally. So if you're gonna do anything, do it legally. This way you can't be stopped. This way can nobody infringe on your rights. Okay? So yeah, I just wanted to touch base on that.